Welcome everyone. With this, we come to the last session for the day. So we have Priya Kaushal from Delhi chapter. She'll be speaking on Daily Scrum anti-patterns. Before we start the session, let me thank Agile Network India founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. Innovation Roots is a leading consulting training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers in niche publishing and services, and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more details about Innovation Roots, request you to visit www.innovationroots.com. Do's and don'ts, by now you must be aware. Please join 5 minutes before the start time. Use high quality speakers and headphones. Please keep your microphones muted. Your answer questions will be taken via chat box. Our facilitator will help and read out a few questions as per the time available, and request everyone to fill the feedback form after the event. We appreciate your cooperation. Thank you. So with this, I would like to call Gunjan, who is going to facilitate this event on behalf of Delhi chapter. Over to you, Gunjan.
Thank you, Prashant. So, good evening, all. I welcome you all on behalf of the Delhi chapter in the session talk, which would be given by Priya Kaushal. So, before we begin, Priya, I would request you to please give a brief intro about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Gunjan, and thanks, Prashant, for having me here, and welcome everyone. You all being here on this Saturday evening, this definitely shows that you all are passionate about Scrum. And I'll try to ensure that I turn this 1 hour of time into a worthful investment for you. So a brief intro about me. I am an Agile enthusiast, and I have worked with some product-based and service-based organizations in past 10 years to help them becoming more agile. And my specific focus is on Scrum, making teams to practice it effectively. So I have been helping multiple Scrum teams to make the effective use of this framework.
Thank you, Priya. I am certain that we would be getting a lot of insights from you today. So before wasting any more time, let us quickly start with your session talk. I would request you to please share your presentation and take over.
Sure. All right. Do you all see my screen?
Yes, we do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, guys, daily Scrum is one of a key event in Scrum because it is a platform for your team to connect on a daily basis and stay in sync. However, unfortunately, this is one such event which is having highest density of anti-patterns, and those anti-patterns turn this 15 minutes of event into just a formality for the team. So today we will try to explore what all anti-patterns do exist and what can we do to remove them and make our daily scrums into effective, valuable event. So if your daily scrum feels like every other meeting you attend, then you are actually not attending a daily scrum it was intended to be. So let us explore a little bit more into this. And I would like to start with a quiz. So I'll be having 5 questions and you all can just answer. So let me start. Okay, so on your screens at the top, you would be seeing drawing tools option. So you can just select that drawing tool and you can use a pen to have do a tick mark or a cross mark at front of the options on my screen. So this is the first question which you are seeing, what the attendees are required to do at the daily scrum. So you can use the drawing tools and just draw a tick or a cross at front of the options. Okay, I do see some ticks on A. Few have selected C, and there are a few who are going with D. I'll give it a few more seconds to have everyone voice their opinions. Okay, someone says E. All right, so let me tell you the correct answer over here is only D. And I'm not going to tell you why. That will be a self-exploration for you during this presentation ahead. You will be get to know that why only the option is correct. And focus on the word required to here. So at the daily scrum, attendees are only required to focus on the progress towards the sprint goal. So the only correct option here is D. Let me move on to the next. The structure of the daily scrum is, and let me erase the previous one so you guys can draw fresh drawings. There are ticks at front of almost all the options. Okay, those of you who have selected B, you all are absolutely right. So the structure of the daily scrum is set by developers. It is not set by Scrum Master or PO, and it is neither described in the Scrum Guide. It is set by the developers. Let's move ahead to the next question. What is the daily stand-up? And you need to choose two answers. Subramaniam says A and B. Okay, I have some ticks at A, some at B, and few at C. Okay. All right. So, okay, someone says F also, a made-up phrase. Okay, I think we have some brilliant people over here. So those of you who have selected C, you are absolutely right. So the two best answers here are C and D. So daily stand-up is an extreme programming event and a safe event. You will get to know why and how this term daily stand-up got introduced in this presentation ahead. So C and D are the correct answers. Okay, moving on to the question number 4. Let me erase previous options. So yeah, daily stand-up is, and I think now this is a easy one. It somewhere relates to the previous quiz question. So if you were quite attentive there, you would be able to answer this correctly. What is a daily stand-up? Choose the best option among these 6 options. Okay. Interesting. We have a lot of variance in the opinions. Okay. Few people say A, you have some for B, some for C. I do also see a tick at F. All right, let me tell you, whoever has selected F here, you are absolutely correct. So daily stand-up is not a Scrum event. The event in Scrum is daily Scrum, not daily stand-up. Okay, moving on to the last question. Let me erase the previous drawings and yeah, here we go. So What can be done after the daily scrum? You can select any number of options you want. Okay, we have A's and some are going with D, some are going with A. Let's see what more comes up. Someone says E. Okay. All right, so those who have selected either A or B or C are partially correct, but those who have selected D are absolutely correct. So after the daily scrum, all of this can happen. The rest of the sprint's work may be replanned, the rest of the sprint's work may be adapted, and detailed discussions can be held between the developers. Okay, so hope this quiz could get you a little bit refreshed and back to the presence. So let's get started with our anti-patterns. Let me. Okay, so let's do this exercise in a minute. Can some of you write what are all the 5 Scrum values in the chat box? Just a quick refresher, because keeping all these 5 Scrum values in mind, this is going to help us in the session ahead. So I want some answers from all of you in the chat box. Okay, respect, yes. Right, okay. Commitment, focus, openness, courage, and respect. So yes, we have focus, courage, respect, openness, and commitment. So keep all these 5 values in mind throughout this session. It's going to help you out. Okay. So I'm going to present 9 anti-patterns to you. Of course, there are a lot which exist, but I tried to pick up the ones which are very prevalent. And in no order of the priority, I'm going to talk about these 9 anti-patterns. So let us get started. Okay, what you now see on your screen is a typical scenario from a daily Scrum meeting. So looking at this scenario, just type in the chat, what anti-pattern do you see over here? What's coming in your mind? You can type in your thoughts in the chat box. Do you see any issue in this daily Scrum? Is there an anti-pattern which you can observe? Lack of clarity of direction. Wonderful. This is not goal oriented. Absolutely. All right. I've got some good responses. So the major anti-pattern over here is that this is more of a status reporting to Scrum Master or a PO. A Scrum Master or a PO is asking questions and then one person is answering. So it's more of a one-to-one dialogue between a Scrum Master and one of a Scrum team member. And it is looking like a status reporting. So we need to understand that daily Scrum is not a status reporting event. It is rather a team alignment event wherein a collaboration should happen between the team members and quick decisions should be taken. So people should be talking to each other. The members should be talking to each other. It shouldn't be that they're here to report the update to the Scrum Master. Scrum Master will be obviously there as an observer to understand how the team is progressing, what are their challenges and all that. But it should be a collaboration between the developers without any external interference. It is rather a planning event, right? Wherein we plan for our every day, wherein we plan for next 24 hours. All right, let's move on to the next. So what you see here is another scenario, and looking at this, just type in what issue you are seeing here in this update, and what is the anti-pattern that you can observe. Disengagement, okay? Lack of descriptions, wonderful. Disengagement is again wonderful. Okay, no team interaction, correct, right. Okay, you all are correct. The context is not described. Exactly, yes. So if you can read this, a member is updating that yesterday I worked on user story 53928. Today I'll try to pick it up and finish it up and pick up another one, no blockers. So here the updates are given in the ticket numbers only, right? And it is very difficult for others to visualize what's happening, right? If you're not specific enough, so that others will have no interest. Someone said disengagement, so this will lead to disengagement, right? So you need to at least give that much information which can enable inspection and adaptation, because you need to keep in mind that every event in Scrum is inspect and adapt event, and this kind of update is not actually enabling any inspection that how are we progressing towards the sprint goal. So uh, you need to be descriptive enough, not too long, but at least you need to give that much info so that others can understand and others can make a use of that information to take decisions, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so you do see a picture on your left. So just type in what is actually happening over here. Just one word, conversation, right? Correct. And now you see one more picture on the right of your screen. So looking at this, the picture on the right, um, what's happening over here? No interactions, using a tool, right? So looking at the picture at the left, the kind of collaboration we are having, where people are sitting in a room and those who are working virtually, they have joined and they all are doing a meeting. And then looking at the picture at the right, wherein we are having updates through a tool, do you think that both kind of collaboration will yield similar results? Just type in a yes or no. Do you think that both will make similar impact? No, right, exactly. It won't yield a similar impact. So the anti-pattern over here is that replacing daily Scrum with group updates or email, right? Especially now when a lot of teams are working virtually, This kind of practice can be seen a lot, wherein members tend to replace the daily scrum with updates in group chat or just sending out an email. But here, what happens is that because they're not coming together and not talking openly about their challenges in their plan, this just gets turned into a formality, and people also do not read each other's updates, so it's not helping them really to inspect and adapt. So this is not a very healthy way to do daily scrum. Obviously you can use it as an add-on, right? You can use it as a complementary practice. Suppose if there is someone who is totally in that time zone wherein you can't accommodate that person, or there's someone who's on leave, or there are some emergencies, you can use updates on chat or email just to support and have it like an add-on practice. But replacing it totally, that is not right, because you will miss to have healthy conversations. Also, can you tell which scrum value is missing over here when we tend to replace the daily scrum with chats or emails? Openness, right? Exactly. When we do not come together and talk, then we miss the value of openness, because it is very difficult to maintain this value through this update through a bot, wherein you will be just restricted to answer 2 or 3 questions, right? Okay. Moving on to the next. So you do see another typical scenario from a daily scrum event. Looking at this, what's coming to your mind? What is the prevailing anti-pattern over here? And also tell me, which scrum value do you think is missing here? No commitment. Focus, right? Focus is missing, yes. Correct. So the fourth anti-pattern is cluelessness, not prepared for the daily scrum. When people come and say, uh, actually I can't remember what I worked on yesterday, but today I'll try to see the backlog and we'll try to pick up something and we'll continue on that, shows that they're not committed, right? They are not committed towards the sprint goal, and focus is missing, direction is missing. And when people give this kind of update, it is also of no use to the other members, right? It is not leading to inspection and adaptation. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, what do you see here? What is the prevailing anti-pattern here? Looking at this picture. Dominant. Absolutely correct. Dominant, one-way communication. Only one person is talking. One person seems to be talking all over, right? You all are absolutely correct. So monologues, violating the time box, right? Just one person tries to hijack the meeting, keep on talking and talking. So which scrum value is missing over here? Uh, one major scrum value which is missing over here. Respect, right? So we are not respecting others' time, right? Uh, we are just trying to dominate this event. So we need to be careful and respectful towards others' time also, right? And when this happens, other members tries to they lose interest in the event, and from the next time they'll try to get absent, or they'll come late. So those kind of things will start happening due to this monologues. Okay, so here is the next. Another scenario, and I think most of you would have encountered it. So here is the Scrum Master who is saying, I've cancelled tomorrow's daily Scrum as I have a doctor's appointment and I can't be here to run the meeting. So which anti-pattern do you see and which Scrum value do you see is missing over here? Scrum team shall be cross-functional. Commitment. Bossy. Someone says bossy. Scrum Master is not required. Okay. Others' time not being considered. Respect. Yes. So the anti-pattern here is canceling the daily Scrum when the Scrum Master is absent, right? Uh, this has become a kind of a norm everywhere, right? That the Scrum Master has to be the person who needs to run this meeting and just canceling it out when Scrum Master is not there. So we need to remember that daily Scrum is for the developers and by the developers, right? So it's a big mistake if Scrum Master herself is canceling this event, because she's snatching the opportunity from the team to inspect and adapt, to meet and to plan for their next day, right? It's not about me as a Scrum Master, it's about my team, right? Why should I take that opportunity away from my team? Correct. So, and you all are right. A lot of Scrum values are missing: commitment, respect, not considering others' time as valuable. But I would say one major value which is missing over here is courage, right? Because it is a kind of norm that a Scrum Master sets up this event and tries to run this event everywhere. So here it needs courage to, break this traditional pattern. Scrum Master needs to be courageous enough to coach the team the right way to do it. And it takes courage to trust them, right? To trust them that they'll be able to do it effectively in your absence. Okay. Someone said that a good Scrum team is the one which runs without Scrum Master, and uh, it should be self-managed. So yes, right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What's coming to your mind looking at this scenario? And which Scrum value is missing here? Boring. Routine 3 questions. It should be goal oriented, right? Focus is missing. Correct. Right. Okay. So anti-pattern number 7, just answer the 3 questions, please. Right. Again, this practice is so prevalent, and people think that daily Scrum is only about answering the 3 questions. Yesterday I did something, today I'm going to do something else, and if I have or have not any impediments, and that is it, right? Others are thinking, oh, what's the point in this? And no one is listening to your updates, right? Someone said boring routine 3 questions, right? And it's not goal oriented too. So the value which is missing is focus, right? Openness also. You are very much restricted to just answering the 3 questions, and maybe you are missing to talk about the real issue, right? um, and that too you are, answering half baked question, right? You are not talking about what you did that helped you to move towards the goal, right? You're not taking goal into consideration. So here is an excerpt from 2017 Scrum Guide, which I want to, uh, you know, have all of yours focus for a minute. It clearly said that the daily Scrum can be conducted in different ways. And some teams will use questions, some will be more discussion based. It totally said that it is up to the team how they want to run their daily Scrum. and any format is okay as long as it focuses towards the sprint goal. Another important thing here is that it was only given as an example in that Scrum guide to use these three questions. But people started, using these three questions as a Bible and as a very hard and fast rule, and they start considering that this is all they need to do in the daily Scrum. But this guide clearly gave these three questions only as an example. It said that you can use questions. It could also be discussion based. Okay, so no format is right or wrong for a daily Scrum meeting. It is just that it should be conducted in a way that it helps you to maintain a focus towards the sprint goal. Okay, let's move on to this. And there were some quiz questions also related to this scenario. So which anti-pattern do you see here and which Scrum value is missing? Respect, forcefully asking us to stand up, right? Daily Scrum, question mark. Yes, not a daily stand up, right? Okay, right, correct. So I've got some good answers. So calling it a daily stand up instead of daily Scrum. Uh, as we had some questions around this also in the quiz, so daily stand up is actually an event which is very clearly defined in extreme programming and safe. So this is an event in those practices. Daily stand up is not an event in Scrum. Here we have daily Scrum, right? So when you are using a Scrum, I would say use it in its entirety. Do not mix up the things from two, three different frameworks and make your own hybrid framework. Okay, so try to respect that framework, right? If the event is called as daily Scrum, call it as daily Scrum only, because it will always remind you of the change. It will remind you of the framework and its underlying principles and practices. Daily stand-up was very well defined in extreme programming and in safe, and it said that people need to stand up in a circle so that it can avoid long discussions. So we have a very clear definition of daily stand-up in extreme programming and in safe, but don't call it daily stand up in Scrum. It is absolutely okay that you do stand up during this event. No harm, right? You can use it as a complementary practice, but then do not forget the core purpose of daily Scrum, right? Do not forget that the core purpose is focusing on the uh, sprint goal. All right. So here is the next one. Looking at this scenario, what do you think? Which anti-pattern is present over here and which Scrum value is missing? Longer meetings, not planned work, team disengagement, focus and commitment missing. Yes, so here, the Scrum Master or PO is trying to assign the task to the team, and um, he's trying to see how much work is remaining, who needs to do what. So basically, this is more of a task assignment, right? Someone said not a pull system. Correct. This is not a pull system, right? People need to pick up the things on their own. It should not be the Scrum Master or a PO who needs to assign the tasks to the team. Okay. Yes. Here in this picture, it is a push system. Someone has said correctly. So that is the prevailing anti-pattern over here. All right. So we have now seen um, some anti-patterns, and I would like to take a minute to focus on this, that what does the current Scrum Guide 2020 says about daily Scrum, right? So 4 important points over here. Number one, it clearly says that the purpose of daily Scrum is to inspect progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming planned work, right? So in this 15 minutes of event, you need to come together as a team and look at how are you progressing towards the goal, and then after that make any adjustments in your plan if needed, right? This is the only purpose of daily Scrum. You can, so the second point says about the same, that it's a 15 minutes event for the developers of the Scrum team. Okay, remember, this is for the developers. The third point, the developers can select whatever structure and techniques they want, as long as their daily Scrum focuses on the progress towards the sprint goal and produces an actionable plan for the next day of the work. This creates focus and improves self-management. So daily Scrum is not about providing status updates to the Scrum Master, or Scrum Master assigning tasks to the developers, or standing up, or just using the 3 questions. Okay, you can do whatever way it is working for your team, but you need to keep the crux. Why are we doing this event? You need to keep that thing in your mind, and then get this event running. Finally, daily Scrums improve communications, identify impediments, promote quick decision making, and consequently eliminate the need for other meetings, right? So if you saw on one of the previous slides where we had an anti-pattern, the team replaced this daily Scrum with a group chat, right? So maybe after that group chat, people are still not clear, and they tend to have even more meetings. Okay, so that won't solve the purpose of daily Scrum. So we have this so that people get clarity in the 15 minutes, and they can do their work for next 24 hours, so that it eliminates the need for any other unproductive meetings. Okay, so now that we have understood the purpose of daily Scrum, what the Scrum Guide says about it, and what all anti-patterns do exist, now I will take you through some tips which can help to make your daily Scrum effective. Okay, so first thing, stand outside the circle. Okay, standing outside the circle doesn't mean to physically stand outside the circle. Okay, but it means that Scrum Master should not try to get the hold of this meeting, call out the members, and ask them to give their updates. uh, you stay outside the circle virtually and let them talk to each other, right? So Scrum Masters should not actually call out the names in order. Okay, your turn, you go first, now you go next, and so let the team start. Okay, and I have tried this practice with many of my teams, and it really worked well. So let the team start. Once any one member is done, he or she can nominate the next member to start. Okay, and in no particular order. So what will happen through this, it will make them to stay very alert and attentive, and they listen to each other, because they never know that whose turn is going to come. And this way, they will be able to connect with each other very well. here you are not asking them to give updates to you. They'll be talking to each other, nominating each other. They'll remember that, okay, he or she is done. So, in order to remember that, they'll listen to each other carefully. So this will start bringing that focus back to the event. So that Scrum value focus, the value uh, will be back. People will try to understand that how are we progressing, right? Next thing, time box for each member's update. So if you do see that there are monologues, some members try to hijack and just dominate the meeting, you can use this practice. Um, uh, you can reach to an agreement as a team and employ a time box, maybe 16 seconds or 90 seconds per member, and tell them that once everyone is done, then let us have any detailed discussions, or we can park any detailed discussions for the 16th minute. So this way there will be a discipline in the team, and that lost Scrum value of respect will be back, and everyone will get a chance to talk to each other. But again, do not try to impose this time box on them. Try to talk to them, try to see if this is a real issue or not, and then get an agreement from the members in terms of what should be the time box per member, and then use it. So it could be a part of your working agreement also. Okay, we'll move on to the next. Go beyond the 3 questions. Okay, so as we saw, those 3 questions were there in 2017 Scrum guide only as an example, and because there was a lot of confusion in the world because of that, so they even removed it from 2020 Scrum guide. So you need to actually go beyond the 3 questions. One of the way you can do your daily Scrum is just read the sprint goal aloud when the event gets started. Try to answer other questions like, how likely are we achieve to sprint goal? This will enable inspection. This will let the members think about how are we making progress. If the confidence is low, then we can talk about what is holding us, right? So such kind of discussions will bring the hidden impediments on the surface. Another thing, make use of information radiators, right? Work item age to review the in progress items, and then discuss, if there are aged items, then what would it take to finish them. Try to review not started items. Maybe it will trigger discussions about adjusting sprint scope. And review the existing impediments. It is not only important to know the impediments, but it is also important to know where we are on them, if they are getting resolved or not, right? So try to review the existing impediments and what could be the next steps to resolve them. And uh, I have seen that generally in daily scrums, we do member-wise updates, right? People just go one by one. So you can also try work item-wise updates, right? You can try both the approaches and see what is working better. Or maybe sometimes you can have member-wise updates, sometimes you can have work item-wise updates. This way your event will become more focused towards the goal, and all other values, commitment, openness, these will be back. Okay, the next thing is one-to-one coaching, right? So if you see any such behaviors where people are not attending the daily scrum, they are coming late and things like that, you can go for one-to-one coaching. Try to coach them why the daily scrum is important, what benefits they'll get, right? If a person will understand that, okay, I'll get certain benefit by attending this event, then they'll be interested to join, right? So how they can contribute to the team's success, right? And what it means to respect their time zones. Try to coach the individuals one-to-one on all these things. All right, and the last tip for the Scrum Masters. So Scrum Masters may intentionally skip few daily Scrums, right? We saw in one of his slide, wherein that Scrum Master cancelled the daily Scrum because she had a doctor appointment. Correct. So never cancel the daily Scrum when you are going to be absent, and also do not always facilitate the event. Let the developers be on their own sometimes. when you are not there, it could be a great opportunity for the team to learn self-management, right? And trust me, you will be surprised to see how they run the show in your absence. It will increase collaboration, it will increase trust and openness amongst them. Okay, so I would like to share some results which I have experienced with some of my teams when you try to employ all these tips uh, into your daily Scrum. So first one, Scrum values come to life, right? Um, so your event becomes more focused. People tend to talk about the issues. Openness is there, commitment is there, and courage is there. When people try to do this on their own, they become self-managed. So the Scrum values will come to life. And when you will break the monotony of having the daily Scrum just as a status updates to the Scrum Master, or having the 3 questions answered, when you will break that pattern and you will experiment with different ways of doing it, you will try to bring in more questions, you will see more impediments and risks get uncovered. So the hidden issues will start getting surfaced, right? And this is good actually, because this will prevent you from any last minute surprises. If you get to know the problems, then only you can solve it. Okay, so you will observe that when you will have the different ways of doing the daily Scrum, more and more impediments and risks will start getting uncovered. People will start talking about the issues which are stopping them to move towards success. There'll be rise in team energy and synergy, right? They will uh, the moment they'll start owning this, right, there'll be more commitment. Okay, so they'll start feeling like coming to this event, and they'll stay aligned. So overall there'll be rise in team energy and synergy. And uh, with this, the team will be able to have a well thought out and realistic planning, right? So if we enable use of information radiators, for example, in our daily Scrum, so through this, team will be able to see where exactly do they stand, what next we need to do we need to make any changes in our scope, do we need to reprioritize anything. So there'll be more thought out and realistic planning. Overall, you will see the increase in team effectiveness. If you trust me, if you do your daily Scrum rightly, effectively, it creates a lot of impact, because this is the only event which happens daily, right? It keeps your team aligned, connected together, and it's a great platform to increase the team effectiveness. Overall, it generates more value. And when I talk about value, I talk about business value, technical value, as well as knowledge value. If there'll be more openness, knowledge value will get increased, right? If we'll talk about the issues and what are we going to do to resolve them, technical value will be generated. And uh, when people will talk about the things clearly, right? So and if the PO is attending this event, so PO will be able to understand that how are we actually progressing, what are the existing challenges, and with all this information, PO will be able to take better decisions, right? So if this helps the PO to take good decisions, then obviously it will help to generate more business value. So having your daily Scrums run correctly, this helps the team in generating more value. And that is it. Um, Before I go to Q&A, I would also like to give a small homework to all of you. So um, after this event, try to think about how your daily Scrums are happening uh, uh, currently, and then try to identify one anti-pattern, right? Any one anti-pattern in your daily Scrum, any one issue that you see, and figure out how can you fix that. And one more thing, don't try to fix everything in one go, right? Otherwise there'll be resistance from the team. So try to pick any one issue and work on that. And once any one issue gets fixed, it will have a ripple effect. A lot of other things will automatically gets fixed. So go slow, try to fix the things one by one. And yes, I'm done. So you guys can put in the chat box if you have any questions, and be happy to answer that for you.
Thank you so much, Priya. It was indeed a wonderful presentation, and I myself could relate to a lot of things that happen in my Scrum project and how we actually go wrong with the daily stand up and the impediments that we face because of it. So, we have a question from Murali. He just wanted to understand or ask if there's any book on agile anti patterns.
Yes, there is a ebook available on overall Scrum anti-patterns, not just daily Scrum, but it talks about other events anti-patterns and rules anti-patterns as well. Let me see if I have that link very handy and share here with you all. Otherwise, is it okay if I can share that later and it can be circulated to the attendees?
I
That can
think
be done.
fine. Yep, that can be done.
Okay, okay. So I'll share that. There is a very good ebook available on this.
Thank you, Priya. So there's one more question that we have. The Scrum Master is a role played on a round robin basis. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I can read it. Scrum Master is a role played on a round robin basis. What do you want to say about it? Is it a right practice? So I would say, Scrum Master is a very situational role, right? You can't follow same practice with all the teams in the world, right? It will always be different. It will depend upon the maturity level of the team. Is it a new team you are joining, or is it an existing team you are joining? How mature they are, right? What are their current practices? What is their current culture? And based on all those things, you will have to take the decisions. So I would say Scrum Master is a very situational kind of a role. Everything won't work for every team, but um, always going back to basics and keeping the crux, why are we doing this, keeping that in mind, that will help. For example, if you are organizing this daily scrum for your teams because they are not mature enough, it is okay, but don't set the wrong expectations, right? What happens is that we do set wrong expectations. The scrum masters themselves make the team handicapped, make snatch the opportunity of self management. So set the correct expectations, that okay, I'm doing it for you, but over the period of time, this is something you need to own. This is your event. You need to own it. So set the correct expectations from the beginning.
Thank you, Priya. I think that specifies the what you're trying to say. Now, also, I have a question myself. So, since there's a lot of startup culture coming up in the industry, and there are like a lot of people, or maybe it's not really a team of 10 or 12 people working on a project. It's more of 15 to 20 people or even more. So generally the stand-up time exceeds more than 15 minutes because handling so many people at once, it takes a lot of time. So how can we work around it? If it is exceeding more than 15 minutes, what should we take care of? What should we do? What should we not do?
Okay. So practically, how you should approach this is that firstly, forget that it should be 15 minutes, right? Your first focus should be what value your team is getting from the event, right? So if because of certain scenarios in team dynamics, say it is taking 25 minutes, right? but is the team able to generate some value in those 25 minutes? It should not be the case that even after those 25 minutes, they are running here and there and they need to have more meetings to set up their plan for the day. If the team is getting value from the 25 minutes and after this 25 minutes they are clear for the day, they know that what they need to do, how they need to approach, this is well and good. Now once you said that, okay, once you ensure that, okay, in this 25 minutes of time box my team is able to generate the plan for the next day, then try to work on the time box. Then try to apply some practices, like I said, time boxing each member's updates, right, and parking the detailed discussions for 16th minute. Then try to apply these practices which can help to get the team this event done in 15 minutes of time box, because you can't be perfect from day one, right? So first see whether this event is getting done correctly, we are getting value, and then work on the time box, try to apply some practices which can bring this time back to the 15 minutes or less than that.
Thank you, Priya. That answers my question.
Thanks,
So,
Gunjan.
just one last point I just wanted to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
these is, I mean, like most of the projects, or maybe some of the projects that I've seen in startups, they generally don't have a Scrum Master right in the beginning. But I feel that the Scrum practices or the Agile practices should be put in place even if the Scrum Master is not available from day one. So, how can the
Mm-hmm.
developers contribute to it?
Right. So here we need to understand that, and this is probably why in 2020 Scrum Guide they removed the word role and they replaced it by accountability. So Scrum Master is an accountability. So right now, if you don't have any dedicated role for Scrum Master in your team, someone needs to be held accountable for that. So one way how developers can approach this is that they can nominate someone amongst them, right? Or they can exchange, roles, and on a frequent basis anyone amongst them can play this role. So they need to nominate someone amongst them who can take this accountability, right? It could be anyone amongst them, irrespective of their designation, irrespective of their seniority, anything. So anyone, maybe if they get this discussion going, maybe there is someone who is interested in this. There are a few members who are very process oriented and like taking up such kind of accountabilities, so they need to hold someone accountable and they can start with that. And when you are starting with something, I would say always go by the process, okay? And once you become quite experienced in it, then you can do it without referencing to the framework, without referencing to the theory. But to start with, for such a team, who do not have any existing Scrum Master, and developers amongst themselves, we need to take care of this, so they can go with the framework. They can just check what does the framework says and go by that. So hold someone accountable, that is important.
Thanks. So, Priya, it was a wonderful
And
session.
yeah, thank you. There's one thing someone asked about a book, right? So we have there is a book by Stephen Wolfers on agile anti-pattern. So if you will search, I'll just type in over here. I'll type the name over here. Let me send it to everyone, and you can search by this and you will get that ebook.
Thank you. Thanks, Priya.
All right, thanks, Kunjan.
Thank you so much, Priya. I've learned a lot of things from you and would try to implement those in our projects. So, Prashant, would you please
Thank you.
start?
Thank you very much. Thanks, Gunjan, for facilitating this session. And also thanks, Priya. It was a wonderful session. It was a very at a very good pace where I think people were able to observe a lot of things, and they may be happy to go back. As Gunjan said, they want to check. Yes, are there any such anti patterns, and how we should fix it? Great.